I have started a new channel called Lanila Tales. Please subscribe and watch my best stories there. Link is in the description. They said a human could never survive a duel with a Zeltha warlord. They said primitive species like us belonged in museums, not in the Grand Galactic Council. They laughed, pointed, and called us insects. Yet when the alien lunged at me with 4 plasma claws ready to rip me apart in front of 10,000 elites, I did the most human thing imaginable. I tripped over my own sword. Accidentally headbutted him. Broke all 3 of his noses. And the galaxy went silent. No one respects humanity. Out among the stars, we are the joke that never stops being funny. Ancient races colonized galaxies before we discovered indoor plumbing. They command fleets of quantum starships while we still argue about pineapple on pizza. So when Earth received a summons to stand before the Galactic Council for trial, the universe erupted in laughter before the transmission even finished downloading. I never wanted to represent humanity. I never asked to be a galactic champion. I was a knight from Earth, yes, but the title meant little in a world that no longer believed in honor or courage or chivalry. I had wandered far from home not to become a hero but to run away from my past. Fate, however, enjoys a sick sense of humor. The Council Hall of Orlan Prime was the largest structure I had ever seen. A silver cathedral stretched into the sky, surrounded by energy rings rotating like halos. Inside, delegates of over 1,000 species hovered in floating seats. It was majestic, intimidating, and filled with creatures who openly despised us. When humanity's envoy entered the center platform, I heard them hiss. Someone actually threw interstellar popcorn. The council chancellor floated at the highest podium. A creature named Trace Sock, all adorned in silver wires and pulsating crystals, with a face as sharp as a blade. His voice echoed throughout the chamber as he announced our fate. The species designated Earth, classified as primitive and unworthy, has been found guilty of unauthorized expansion, galactic interference, and existential immaturity. The tribunal shall now determine whether Earth is to be sanctioned, enslaved, or erased. I looked at our so-called diplomatic team. Half were sweating. The other half looked like they were moments away from fainting. A microphone was pushed into my hand. I had been added to the delegation last minute as a cultural representative. Essentially, I was hired because I owned shiny armor and could wave politely. According to ancient tradition, I said slowly, swallowing hard as the microphone amplified my pulse, an accused party in trial may invoke the right of champions. A single duel to determine guilt or innocence. The council chamber roared with laughter. Somebody shouted, "Did they drag this one here from a Renaissance fair?" Chancellor Trace Sock blinked. "You want trial by combat? Primitive Earth invokes the right. That tradition is older than your sun." "Yes," I replied. "Earth invokes it." To this day, I am not sure if I was brave or stupid in that moment. Possibly both. But the truth was simple. If we allowed a normal trial, Earth would be crushed politically and militarily. Trial by combat, however, gave us a sliver of a chance. A single ridiculous, impossible chance. But a chance nonetheless. "Very well," Trace Sock said. "Who fights for Earth?" I stepped forward before my brain could stop my legs. "I do." The laughter came again, bigger this time, like a tidal wave. My little suitcase of old armor and a steel longsword looked more like theater props in comparison to the galaxy's finest weapons. A small floating drone zoomed next to me and beeped nervously. That was Pip, my AI assistant. His body was the size of a mango and shaped like an upside-down teardrop with a lens eye in the middle. His voice sounded like an overly excited child. "Roland, buddy, are you sure?" Pip whispered through my suit speaker. "Statistically speaking, you are about to become space lasagna." I strapped on my pauldrons and tightened my gauntlets. Statistics can kiss my armored backside. We were transported to the combat spire, a floating arena above Orlan Prime. Giant plasma shields surrounded the platform and a crowd of elites filled the stands to watch me die. A dozen towering screens projected my image across the sky like a tragic advertisement. My opponent emerged from the opposite gate. A Zeltha warlord named Grokthar, A towering beast with gray armor fused directly into his skin. 4 cybernetic arms. Bone spikes along his spine. 3 glowing red eyes. The crowd cheered as he raised his plasma claws, each burning with enough energy to cut through starship hulls. He looked at me and laughed. You are the champion of humanity. You brought a stick to a star war. Prepare to be fertilizer. I raised my sword. His claws were glowing plasma weapons. My sword was sharpened steel forged in a blacksmith's workshop in Krakow. If my sword had feelings, it would have been quietly apologizing to me. The gong sounded. Grokthar lunged forward with blinding speed. I dodged barely and my boot caught a crack in the floor. I slipped. My sword flew out of my hand. The crowd roared with laughter. The Zelther reared back for a killing blow. In a panic, I grabbed the nearest thing I could. It was him. I crashed forward, head first, smashing my forehead into his central nose. Something cracked. He stumbled back, howling. The arena fell silent. Pip shouted, "Wow, accidental combat head, but that is either genius or the dumbest thing I have ever seen." I rolled back to my feet, grabbed my sword and pointed it at Grokthar. The warlord hissed and roared with fury. The duel began in earnest then. He slashed and lunged with relentless rage, but he fought like a raging storm. Raw power, little strategy. I fought like the knight I once was. Sword low, wings of defense tight, waiting patiently for the opening anger always leaves behind. He attacked from above. I parried. He slashed at my leg. I spun aside and countered. His claws whistled past my armor by a hair's width. I struck his arm joint. Metal sparked. He howled. The crowd gasped. Humanity was surviving. He leaped again. I rolled beneath his swipe, got behind him, and drove my sword under his armor plate. Not deep enough to kill. Just enough to show him I could. Enough to show the galaxy that honor was not weakness. Strategy was not primitive. Humanity was not a joke. Then something unexpected happened. A blast shook the arena. Not from Grokthar. From outside. Alarms began to wail. Pip shouted, "Someone just overloaded the arena reactors. There is sabotage happening." Above us a panel flickered to life. A hologram displayed a message. Earth must fall. The galaxy cannot know the truth. Destroy the human now. It was signed by a symbol I had never seen before. But deep inside, something told me this was only the beginning. Humanity had just been marked for elimination. And I realized with cold certainty I was not fighting a duel. I was fighting for the right of humanity to exist at all. The explosions faded, but the accusations did not. The arena sabotage had thrown the Galactic Council into chaos, but instead of investigating who triggered the attack, the Council did something far easier. They blamed humanity. They blamed me. The arena shields went up before I could speak. Grokthar was dragged away by medical drones, roaring that he still wanted to finish me. The entire stadium began chanting for my execution. It was as if the galaxy had been waiting for a moment, any excuse, to erase humanity. Now they had won. Guards surrounded me with phased rifles while drones swarmed overhead. Pip hovered nervously around my shoulder, trembling like a frightened pigeon with a camera. "For the record," he said, "I would like everyone to note that I have no emotional attachment to death, and would very much like to avoid it." "Noted," I muttered back. The guards shoved me into a containment pod, sealing me inside a shimmering energy field. My wrists were bound by magnetic cuffs. I tried to speak to the council, to protest, but my voice was drowned by a hail of jeering alien voices. In the chaos I caught sight of Zyra Velka for the first time. She was watching from the delegate balcony, arms crossed, violet eyes narrowed sharply. Tall, composed, unmistakably Vega Prime diplomat. Her silver hair was braided down one side and her posture screamed authority. She looked like someone who had never once been impressed by a human in her life. Her gaze met mine for a single second, and she shook her head just slightly as if annoyed by my existence. Needless to say, I did not make a good first impression. I was transported to a holding facility beneath the council spire. The pod locked into an isolation chamber. Metal walls. No windows. No chance of escape. 2 guards stood outside, towering insected creatures with 4 arms each and unpleasant breath that seeped through their helmets. They did not blink. Actually, I was not sure if they had eyelids. Pip appeared inside the cell, flickering through security holes with a hacking bypass he most definitely was not allowed to have. He spun once, anxious and panicking. So looks like they want to erase Earth by sunrise and execute you for sabotage. Thoughts? That is not going to happen, I said. Great plan, Pip replied. Really inspiring. Any chance you could elaborate on that with actual steps instead of vague heroic confidence? The Council believes we sabotaged the arena, I said. Which means someone wants Earth punished, and framed us to justify it. If we find who planted the bomb, we can expose them. Pip beeped. Okay, good. One tiny question though. How exactly do we do that when you are in a quantum-reinforced space jail? The answer came before I spoke. The force field around my cell fizzled. The door slid open. 2 guards were unconscious on the floor. Zyra Velker stepped inside holding a pulse pistol and wearing an expression that suggested she deeply regretted her choices in life. You have 60 seconds, she said. If you want to live, follow me. Do not speak. Do not hesitate. Move. I stared in disbelief. Why are you helping me? 53 seconds, she said flatly. That was enough. I moved. We navigated down the steel corridors of the holding complex. Zyra moved with precision, stunning guards strategically rather than leaving bodies. She clearly had military training hidden under her diplomatic status. She handed me a breathing mask as we reached a high-security door. Gas trap, she said just before the door slid open and neurotoxin flooded the hall. We sprinted through. Once we reached the loading bay, I finally asked the question lingering in my head. You were at the duel. You saw the sabotage. Do you really believe humanity did it? She gave me a cold look. I believe in evidence. Not convenient truths. Someone wanted Earth destroyed and you silenced. They wanted a war or something worse. And I intend to find out who is behind it before this becomes galactic genocide. I was not used to aliens speaking in a way that sounded almost reasonable. Zyra boarded a small diplomatic shuttle and motioned for me to join. Pip zipped inside too. Once seated, she keyed in a launch code. Destination, I asked. Out of here, she replied. The shuttle blasted out of the Council spire just as alarms began blaring again. Pursuit drones rose from the station, streaking after us in a flurry of blue thrusters. Pip squeaked incoming hostile contact 9 bogies at speed 1.9 light. I recommend evasive maneuvers and prayer, lots of prayer. Zyra spun the shuttle hard and we rocketed between 2 Council cruisers. Drones fired plasma shots that sizzled past our hull. I grabbed the co-pilot's seat despite not knowing how to fly any ship that did not have sails. Can you outrun them? Not for long, Zyra muttered. So we let them catch us, Pip said helpfully, then die inside another jail cell. No, I said. We make someone else chase us. Both Zyra and Pip stared. There is a pirate stronghold in the debris belt of the Targus system, I explained. They do not like Council ships in their territory. If we lead the drones there, then the pirates will shoot them down for us, Pip finished. Wow, that is either brilliant or suicidal. Probably both, Zyra muttered. Strap in. We dove into hyperspace, streaking through the void toward Targus. The debris belt appeared in minutes. A swirling cloud of broken freighters, asteroid fragments, and crushed battlecruisers drifting like cosmic graveyard dust. Hidden within it were the pirate clans, scavengers turned warlords. As soon as we dropped out of hyperspace, Zyra began firing distress beacons. Not Council signals. Pirate ones. Rough coded signals that said we were trespassing and heavily armed. Hacked warnings that claimed our shuttle was carrying stolen weapon caches. In space, lies can travel faster than light. Within seconds, pirate ships uncloaked around us. Jagged hulls. Sawtooth wings. Rusted plates. They formed a perimeter and opened fire not on us but on the Council drones behind us. A storm of plasma and rail cannons shredded the drones within seconds. Pip floated in awe. That was glorious, chaotic, and extremely violent. Zyra cut the engines. Now we just have to not die in the next 60 seconds. A pirate cruiser docked with us. Hissed airlocks. Heavy footsteps. A boarding party of 6 pirates stormed inside. Their leader was a massive reptilian humanoid wearing spiked armor and an eye patch that looked purely decorative. His voice was a gravel pit. "This is pirate territory. You enter, you pay tribute, or you die." I stood tall. "We bring no tribute. But we bring a message." He snarled a laugh. "You bring death instead then." I drew my sword. "Not death. A challenge. Your best fighter. If he wins, we die. If I win, you listen." The pirate captain grinned, razor teeth glinting. "A knight." He spat the word like a myth. "I accept." And as he signaled for the combat floor to be prepared, I realized something strange. In a galaxy of empires and weapons and technology beyond imagining, the thing that terrified them most was a man who still believed in honor. A knight who refused to bow. And that made me dangerous. Pirate tradition was brutal but simple. Strength ruled. Honor was optional, survival was everything. The challenge chamber was a circular pit carved into the heart of the cruiser, ringed by jagged steel, flickering hazard lights, and a roaring mob of outlaws from half the galaxy. No rules, no mercy, only victory. Zyra watched from the metal balcony above, her arms crossed, her expression as unreadable as deep space. Pip floated anxiously beside her, blinking panic lights. The pirate champion entered first. A mountain of metal and muscle known only as Kryn. His skin was black-scaled, his arms entirely cybernetic, his claws replaced with serrated plasma hooks. The crowd chanted his name over and over until the hull seemed to shake. He looked down at me with reptilian eyes that promised a painful end. "You challenged a pirate clan alone," Kryn said. "Either you are brave, suicidal, or very stupid." I drew my sword. "Possibly all three." Laughter erupted from above. Bets were placed. Someone shouted for Kryn to peel my spine out like fruit. Another pirate yelled for at least a dramatic scream. Kryn charged like an avalanche. No warning. No words. Just pure attack. His plasma hooks slashed. I rolled aside. Sparks exploded from the steel floor. His second strike nearly took my head off. His third slammed against my sword, sending a painful shock up my arms. I dodged again, letting his size work against him. He swung heavy. I moved light. He pressed hard. I parried, slid aside, waited. Patience was a knight's weapon. Kryn slammed his claws down where I stood a second earlier, embedding them in the floor. I slashed, hitting exposed wiring on his left cyber arm. It sparked violently. He roared and ripped his own damaged limb off like it was a minor inconvenience. "You fight with honor," he growled. "Pathetic." He swung again. Faster this time, adapting, unpredictable. His hook caught my chest plate and ripped it open. Pain shot through my ribs. I barely blocked the next strike. His strength was overwhelming, his speed relentless. I stumbled back. For a moment he reminded me of Grokthar, the warlord from the duel. The galaxy did not lack monsters. Kryn lunged to finish it. But he made one mistake. His rage outpaced his balance. I stepped in, close enough to see my reflection in his eyes. My sword flashed once. I struck his leg at the joint between cybernetics and bone. He collapsed to one knee. He swung wildly again, but I disarmed him. A twist. A counter. His plasma hook flew across the ring. The mob went silent. I held my sword at his throat. He glared. His pride screamed louder than his pain. "Do it," he said. "Victory or death." I lowered my blade. He stared. The crowd exploded in confusion. Pirates yelled betrayal, weakness, dishonor. Kryn rose slowly, breathing hard. "What are you doing?" "Earning a listener," I said. The pirate captain stepped forward. His expression was unreadable. Kryn turned to his own clan, lifted my arm and roared. He fights like a monster but spares like a king. The clan roared with him. The captain nodded once. Speak, knight. We are not here to take from you, I said. We are here to expose a threat bigger than the council, bigger than any clan. Someone is manipulating the galaxy. Someone who wants to erase whole species and start a war big enough to end everything. They framed humanity for sabotage. They will frame others next. Maybe even you. The pirate captain growled skeptically. Words are cheap. Then I will buy trust with truth, I said. Someone inside the council planned the sabotage. Someone with deep access to forbidden technology. Someone who fears a truth Earth may uncover. We need access to off-grid records. Old maps. Forgotten outposts. Pirate space has those. The captain stared long. Finally he pointed at a scarred terminal. Then followed the trail of ghosts. But understand this, knight. If you lie to us, not even your gods will find your body. He led us to a darkening chamber behind the arena, filled with stolen data cores. Zyra moved beside me, saying nothing until the pirates left us alone. You know how reckless that was, she said. I smiled. You mean brave. No, I mean reckless. Reckless is brave without logic. You excel at it. I took the insult as a compliment. Pip was already hacking the pirate terminal with enthusiastic whistling. Data incoming, Pip said. Accessing Council Black records. Unauthorized deep scan. Warning, repeating messages. No one should be able to see this stuff without imploding from cosmic secrets. And searching. He projected a grainy star map. A hidden path across dead systems and abandoned research zones led to a blinking red point. A forgotten space station orbiting a dying star. No broadcast beacon, no registered designation. But files call it Echo Station. Zyra frowned. That facility predates the Galactic Council. Pip zoomed in. And it has a sealed archive. Whoever framed us does not want anyone going there. I turned to Zyra. Then that is exactly where we go. You are serious, she said. That station is in void space. No patrol routes. No rescue. If something goes wrong, no one will come. I sheathed my sword. Then we do not let anything go wrong. The pirate captain gave us a battered warp ship. It smelled like engine grease and plasma burns. But it flew fast and silent. Perfect for criminals and fugitives, which apparently now included us. As we jumped toward Echo Station, Zyra watched me carefully. You did not kill Kryn, she said. Why? I do not kill for sport, I replied. And I do not kill a man who fights with courage. You are a strange human, knight. I smiled. You say human like it is a confession. Echo Station appeared like a ghost in the darkness. A shattered ring around a blackened core drifting in silence. No signals. No lights. No life. The ship docked automatically. Pip ran scans. No life signs, he said. But there is power inside. Low. Faint. Barely stable. The station interior was haunted. Cold metal halls stretched endlessly. Dust floated in weightless pockets. Strange symbols coated the walls. No sound but the echo of our own footsteps. We found consoles still running, flickering with corrupted messages. Zyra wiped frost off a terminal screen. This was not a research station. It was a vault. Pip trembled. A vault for what? The station lights suddenly surged. The air around us seemed to pulse. Something was waking up. A deep, ancient hum echoed through the corridors. I heard a whisper behind us. But no one was there. Then I heard it again. It was not sound. It was memory. A voice inside my mind. It whispered a name I had tried to bury. Eleanor. My wife. Lost years ago on Earth. My heart froze. And then I heard another voice. Different. Dark. A whisper not from my past but from something watching us now. Welcome to Echo Station, traveler. Leave now. Or lose everything you love. I raised my sword, but there was no enemy. Just shadows and whispers. Zyra called my name, but her voice sounded far away. The station was not abandoned. It was alive. And it was inside our heads. Echo's station whispered like it was alive and waiting. The dead halls flickered as though something moved behind the walls. The air felt heavy, thick with memory, thick with emotion that did not belong to us. Pip floated close to my shoulder, oddly quiet. Zyra stayed a few steps ahead, hand on her pulse pistol, eyes narrow and alert. There were no life forms, yet we were not alone. The whispers trailed behind us like unseen hands. We reached a central chamber filled with a massive, sealed vault door. Faded markings glowed faintly along the surface, symbols older than any language I had seen. I stepped closer. The air sharpened with static. Cold winds slithered across my skin, though there was no source for it. Zyra tapped her wrist console and frowned. There is a psychic field here. Something engineered. Something designed to manipulate thought. Pip shivered. Translation: we are definitely going to get haunted or eaten or turned inside out. I reached out to touch the vault door, but Zyra grabbed my wrist. Do not. This place was sealed for a reason. Something dangerous was left behind, and its power still lingers. If we break this seal blindly, we risk unleashing something the galaxy buried. Someone already tried to unleash it, I said. This station is directly tied to whoever framed humanity. They came here before we did. They took something and killed anyone who knew. Then why is it sealed? Zyra asked. Because whatever they were after is still here, I said. They failed to get it. Zyra hesitated, not ready to argue but not willing to agree. Then she pointed to an open terminal at the base of the vault. This console still has power. Let us see what we are dealing with. Pip plugged into the ancient tech reluctantly, projecting flickering logs, corrupted recordings and encrypted transmissions. I watched as fragments of video formed. Human figures in scientist uniforms. Council agents. Unknown symbols. Then a face I recognized. Admiral Korath. The same council leader who declared Earth an unworthy species. The same man who demanded my execution. He was here. Pip worked faster. Logs show multiple visits from Korath's private fleet over the last decade. Records of unauthorized retrieval missions. Sealed cargo. Project title: Echo King classified. Echo King, Zyra repeated. A myth. An ancient entity rumored to devour memories to survive. I thought it was a superstition. It is not a superstition anymore, I said. The terminal whined, power draining. Then a final recording opened. Grainy, unstable, but clear enough. Admiral Korath stood with other council members inside this very vault. We cannot let them discover the truth, Korath said. If anyone learns what Echo really is, the council collapses. The galaxy descends into chaos. Fear is the only thing that holds power in place. If we lose control, we lose everything. One of his associates asked, and what of the entity? Korath stared at something off-screen, something inside the vault. Then he replied, if the cost of control is sacrifice, so be it. Then the recording glitched, struggling to play the last moment. A distorted voice echoed inside the chamber. It was not human. It was not like any species I had ever heard. It was layered with 1,000 overlapping tones. I am still here, the voice whispered. And I am hungry. The station lights shattered. Cold darkness swallowed us. Zyra shouted my name, but her voice warped like sound underwater. Something slammed against my mind like a wave. Pain. Memories ripped open. Moments I had locked away came flooding back against my will. The day my wife died. Fire consuming our home. My failure to save her. My guilt. My shame. My weakness. The voice wrapped around the memory like a serpent feeding on it. Pain is strength. Regret is power. Your suffering makes you worthy, the voice said. Let me feed and I will give you purpose. I fell to a knee, clutching my head. Pip buzzed frantically, his voice distant. Zyra tried to pull me back, but her voice sounded far away. The station was devouring us. No, I whispered. You cannot have this. Ah, but I already do, the voice hissed. And I can give you what you want most. I can return her to you. For a moment I saw a hallucination so real it broke something inside me. Eleanor. Standing in front of me. Smiling. Alive. Reaching for my hand. My heart stopped. Roland, she whispered. I reached out. Then I saw it. Her eyes. They were wrong. Too black. Too hollow. That thing did not understand love. It only understood hunger. You are not her, I said. The illusion shattered into smoke and the voice screamed with frustration. You have strength, human, but you will break soon enough. All things break. I stood slowly, forcing myself back to reality. Zyra was pale, breathing hard, fighting something I could not see. Pip flickered with data corruption warnings across his lens. I grabbed Zyra by the shoulder. Stay with me. She pointed to the vault. It wants us to open it. Then we leave, I said. Whatever is inside that vault is not a weapon. It is corruption. Evil. Zyra shook her head. No. The clue we came for is here. The truth about Echo King is here. If we leave now we gain nothing and the Council still destroys Earth. A distant tremor shook the station. Pip scanned and panicked. Ships incoming. 3 Council cruisers. They are docking on the far side. They are coming for us. Zyra turned to me. Roland, if Chorus sent them, then they are here to kill us, not capture. They will wipe this entire station. We will die if we are still here. Then we destroy the vault, I said. If they came for something inside, we will deny it to them. Zyra stared at me, then nodded. It is a bad plan, but it is also the only one we have. We overloaded the station's core explosives. Pip armed the collapsible charges manually along the vault frame. Zyra hacked a manual countdown into the ancient blast panel. Then the lights turned red. Heavy footsteps echoed from behind us. Council soldiers wearing black armor and no insignia stormed the chamber with plasma rifles. They opened fire. Zyra dropped behind cover. I deflected shots with my blade, sparks flying as plasma seared against steel. Pip screeched, "You cannot block plasma forever, Roland. That is not how physics works." "It works if I believe hard enough," I shouted back. The blast countdown ticked lower. 4 minutes. We needed to reach the docking bay. Zyra laid covering fire as I charged forward, cutting down 2 soldiers and slamming another into a wall. The whispers returned in my head, urging me to give in, to unleash anger, to feed the darkness. I ignored them. Knights did not bow to shadows. We reached the final corridor only to be cut off by a familiar voice amplified through a command helmet. Admiral Chorus stepped forward, flanked by elite guards. He removed his helmet slowly, revealing a calm expression devoid of remorse. "You should have stayed on Earth," he said. "The galaxy has no place for you." "Earth has a place whether you like it or not," I said. He raised a hand and his troops aimed their rifles. Echo Station was seconds from destruction. And he still wanted us dead. "You have no idea what you are interfering with," he said. "The Echo King is beyond your comprehension." "Then explain it," I demanded. He smiled a dead smile. "I do not need to. Because you will never leave this station alive." He fired. The world erupted. And then Zyra stepped between us. She fired back. Not at Korath but at me. The shot hit my chest like lightning. Pain exploded through me. I fell to the ground gasping. My own ally had betrayed me. "Take him," Korath ordered. "He belongs to the Council now." Pain dragged me into darkness. My vision swayed in and out like a broken signal. Sounds came before shapes. Footsteps. Metal doors. The hum of starship engines. My senses returned slowly. I was strapped upright in a suspension frame inside a cold interrogation chamber. Thick restraint bands locked my arms and chest. A neural suppressor ring tightened around my neck. Every time I tried to move, a surge of electricity punished me. I tasted iron and anger. Across from me, Admiral Chorus stood smooth and calm, as if betrayal were a normal part of his morning routine. His black military coat was crisp. His eyes clinically cold. Beside him stood Zyra Velker. Hands behind her back. expression hollow. The look of someone who had made a ruthless choice and accepted it. I stared at her, betrayal twisting like a knife inside me. I trusted you. Trust is a weakness, Chorus said before Zyra could answer. Especially in a galaxy built on power. You are here because you believe in outdated nonsense. Honor. Justice. Truth. The universe has no use for such illusions. The neural ring pulsed as Chorus stepped closer. You came dangerously close to exposing secrets that must remain buried. The Echo Station was never meant to be found. It holds memories older than the Council itself. Memories that should never return. The Echo King, I said through gritted teeth. What is it? Chorus regarded me with mild amusement. Something greater than you. Greater than any species. Something that will ensure order in the galaxy. And soon, it will awaken fully. Why frame humanity? Because Earth is unpredictable, he replied. A wild element that cannot be controlled. You are impulsive. Emotional. Chaos given flesh. You inspire resistance. Rebellion. Hope. He said the last word like poison. Hope makes people dangerous. If people learned the truth about the Echo King, they would turn against you, I said. So you chose to erase Earth to eliminate the risk. Chorus smiled. The Echo King feeds on chaos. Emotion. Fear. Do you know how we keep it contained? We feed it slowly. Controlled doses. One dying world at a time. My blood ran cold. You are sacrificing entire planets. A necessary price, Chorus said. There must be order in the galaxy. Someone must decide who lives and who falls. And who decided that should be you. He leaned closer. Someone had to. Weakness thrives without control. That is why the Council stands. Not as peacekeepers, but as shepherds. The door slid open. A masked guard entered. Behind him hovered a drone with a glowing projector disc. It pulsed like a heartbeat. Prepare him, Chorus said. I did not like the sound of that. The guard stepped forward and pressed the projector disc to my chest. It latched onto my armor and drilled microscopic tendrils into the neural ring. Pain flared again. The drone above activated, humming like a swarm of bees. What is this? I asked. A translator, Chorus replied. You are going to make history today. You will be the first human to speak directly to the Echo King. The drone emitted a low pulse. The room wavered. My thoughts scattered like ashes in a storm. The walls rippled and vanished. The chamber dissolved. In its place was a void made of smoke and shadows. Something enormous stirred in the distance. A mass of shifting mist and impossible form. Eyes opened where eyes should not be. Teeth where there was no mouth. The voice that followed came from everywhere. I remember you. You tasted of regret. My blood froze. Echo King. Your world is young, the voice whispered. But your fear is ancient. Come closer. Let me show you truth. Images burst into my mind. Civilizations burning. Empires collapsing. Species erased. All fueling this thing like a black star. The more destruction it caused, the stronger it grew. And the Council had been feeding it. Controlling it. Weaponizing it. You could save her, the voice whispered again. I can return what you lost. I can give you Eleanor. Just feed me. My heart cracked. For a second I wanted to give in. To forget everything and take the bargain. But that was how it worked. It exploited weakness. Manipulated pain. It did not bring back the dead. It only consumed. No, I said. I will not feed you. Then you will break. The void exploded. Memories ripped apart. My past. My failures. My love. My pain. Everything was torn open. I felt myself shattering. I would have been lost if not for a small persistent sound. A faint digital panic. Roland, snap out of it. Snap out, you heroic idiot. Pip. His terrified beeping cut through the storm. I saw the fight again. The pirates. The arena. Earth. There was still something worth fighting for. Something worth saving. I came back with a violent gasp. The void vanished. I was back in the chamber. Korath was watching me with cold curiosity. Impressive. You resisted longer than expected. It seems humans have more resilience than I thought. No matter. Soon you will break and we will know every secret inside Echo Station. Someone else spoke from behind him. Then I guess I should ruin your plans. Korath turned. So did I. Zyra was pointing a plasma pistol directly at his head. She fired. The blast hit Korath's shoulder. His armor cracked, and he staggered back. Alarm screamed. Guards stormed the room, but Zyra moved like a viper. She shot two, dropped to a knee, slid behind cover and blasted a third. I stared in disbelief. You betrayed me. I lied, she said without looking back. I had to. If I did not play along, they would have killed both of us. I needed time to find where they took you. You shot me, I yelled. Low stun setting, she said. Now shut up and help me. She tossed a sword-like weapon at me. It was not mine, but it would do. With a flick of her wrist, she disabled the Nero ring. The restraints snapped open. I dropped down, caught the blade, and met the first guard head-on. Plasma swung. Steel answered. I carved through the room like fury unleashed. Pip dropped from the ventilation shaft. Good news, I hijacked the security system. Bad news, every guard on the ship is coming here. We ran out as emergency shutters sealed behind us. Korath clutched his wounded shoulder, but his eyes still burned with hatred. You cannot stop what is coming. The Echo King is awake. The galaxy will kneel. The ship trembled. Zyra checked a console. They are initiating warp to Council Command. They are taking us straight to judgment. Or we turn their own ship against them, I said. Zyra gave me a sharp, quick smile. Now you are thinking like a criminal. Together we fought our way to the command bridge. Sparks rained from the ceiling. Smoke choked the air. Chorus forces swarmed behind us. The galaxy thought humanity was weak. But they were about to learn something very important. A knight does not surrender. A knight does not break. A knight fights until the last breath, not for glory but for those who cannot. This battle was no longer just about Earth. It was about truth. And I would drag that truth across the stars even if it killed me. The command bridge blazed with red alarms and warning sirens. The ship shook as Zyra and I burst onto the deck, pushing through smoke and gunfire. Council officers rushed to block us, but they were not prepared for a berserk human knight with a stolen blade and a furious Vega Prime diplomat at his side. I cut through their line while Zyra disabled consoles with precision shots. Pip flew overhead, scrambling communications and setting off decoy orders that sent half the enemy forces running in circles. Seal the doors, Zyra shouted. I slammed a control panel with my elbow and blast doors screeched shut, locking half the enemy crew outside. For a few breaths, the only sound in the bridge was the hum of the warp core below and the faint crackle of sparks falling from shredded conduits. We took positions behind command terminals. Zyra checked our location. They are still locked on warp to Council Command. Once we get there, they will execute us in the plaza before broadcasting to the galaxy that Earth plotted a coup. And then they will invade my system next. This is not just about you anymore, Roland. Then we stop the jump, I said. Already trying, Pip beeped as his lens glowed with code. The NAV core is locked behind quantum encryption. And then worse news arrived in the form of a cold, familiar voice over the intercom. Do you truly think you can win? Korath asked. The screens within the bridge flickered to life, showing his bloodied face. He stood in a secure chamber surrounded by elite guards. You are thieves who stole a bridge. Nothing more. You cannot control what is coming. Even if you kill me, the Echo King will rise. The Council will purge Earth. Your defiance will only hasten your extinction. My grip tightened on the blade. This was the man who condemned my planet, who manipulated worlds from the shadows, who had fed countless souls to some ancient horror. He believed himself untouchable. He believed fear would bend the galaxy to his will. He was wrong. No more speeches, Korath, I said. Send me your location. I am ending this today. Come and try, he replied. I will show the galaxy just how fragile your honor truly is. The transmission cut off. Zyra stepped beside me. He is in the judgment arena. You know it is a trap. Everything since leaving Earth has been one long trap, I said. Does not matter. I am finishing this. Zyra nodded. Then we finish it together. Pip squeaked. And by we you mean we, right? Because I am emotionally invested now and I refuse to be left behind. We cut through the last of the ship's security. It felt strange that a warship built to intimidate entire star systems now echoed with panic because a single human was loose inside it. The soldiers no longer looked at me like I was prey. They looked like they were seeing something they had forgotten existed. Someone who refused to kneel. The final blast door opened to the judgment arena. A colossal circular chamber with towering pillars and a suspended battle platform under a sky dome showing a false view of the galaxy. Thousands of council delegates filled the colossal surrounding balconies, called in early under the false claim that Earth agents were attempting a coup. The crowd was chanting for blood. But their voices faltered as I stepped inside, sword drawn, eyes locked on the single figure waiting for me. Admiral Chorus stood at the center wearing ceremonial armor of the council laced with violet energy lines pulsing like veins. His weapon was a hybrid between a spear and a blade crackling with unstable power. He pointed at me with the cold disdain of a judge. Roland Graves, by order of the High Council you will kneel and accept judgment, or die. I walked forward. I do not kneel. The arena's shields activated, trapping us in a shimmering dome. The crowd roared for death. Zyra and Pip were locked outside by the shield, but they ran to a console halfway across the platform searching for a way to break it. My focus never left Korith. He struck first. His spear crashed against my blade in a burst of violet energy. The impact rattled bone. He fought like a commander, not a brawler, disciplined, calculated, and absolutely lethal. His reach was greater, his armor stronger, his weapon deadlier. Every strike tried to kill me outright. He fought without hesitation, without mercy, and without soul. You are a relic, Chorus said, locking our blades. You cling to old codes and broken ideals. Strength decides fate. Power shapes reality. You fear honor because you cannot corrupt it, I replied. He twisted and slammed me with a crushing blow that sent me skidding across the platform. Pain exploded through my ribs. He advanced mercilessly, knocking aside my guard with brutal precision. Fear is a tool, he said. The Council has shaped the galaxy for centuries using fear. We decide who rises, who falls, who survives. You do not lead, you rule by chains, I spat. And chains break. I switched to a close guard stance, letting him press. I watched the rhythm of his attacks. He favored right side thrusts after pivot feints. His weapon's cycling pattern left exposed power coils when he twisted too far. I let him think I was buckling. Then I struck. I dodged into his blind line, drove my sword across his side, and sparks burst from his armor. He recoiled with surprise, then snarled and struck harder. The fight intensified. Steel screamed against void-forged metal. Sparks rained around us. The crowd was on their feet screaming, but their voices blurred into a dull roar. The only thing that mattered was the blade in my hand and the enemy in front of me. Korith slammed me backward, slashing downward, but I locked his spear between my gauntlets, twisted, and snapped one of the blade edges free. He staggered, and I followed through with a strike across his chest that tore his armor open. He fell to one knee. The crowd went silent. For the first time he looked shaken. This is your final chance, I said. End the echo experiments. End the genocide. Surrender. He began to laugh. A cold, broken sound. Then you still do not understand. His eyes flashed black. A wave of psychic force erupted from him, blasting me across the arena. I crashed to the floor, convulsing. The air turned heavy as gravity warped. The lights dimmed. Shadows thickened. Zyra shouted Roland, but her voice seemed distant. Korith rose. But he was no longer alone. Something moved behind his eyes, something vast, something ancient. Fear is a tool, he said, but his voice was now layered, now raw. But I am more than fear. I am echo. He had let it in. The parasite. The living nightmare from Echo Station now merged with him. The Echo King was inside him. His voice roared like thunder. Surrender your mind or be consumed. I struggled onto an elbow, breathing fire. You may be bigger than me, older than me, stronger than me, but you made one mistake. And what is that? He hissed. You came for humanity. You thought we were weak. But we are not a species built to yield. We fight. We endure. And we rise. The shadow inside him screeched. He charged, preparing one final obliterating strike. I threw my sword aside. Zyra screamed in horror. Pip shrieked no. I stood barehanded and walked into the strike. The spear slammed into my chest, but I grabbed the haft and pulled him closer, face to face. You feed on fear. You feed on pain. But you cannot take what I will never give you. My soul is mine.